Hello everyone. The story I'm going to share today is Human Thinking Caused a Disaster. This story took place during the Tang Dynasty. Minister Li Jing lived in the mountains. One day, when he was hunting, he saw a herd of deer, and so he began chasing after them. He did not catch up to them until dusk, but he had gone too far and became lost. Just as he was wondering where he could sleep that night, in the far distance he saw a light. He dug his spurs into his horse and hurried in direction of the light. When he got there, he found a building strongly built with tall and thick walls. In the entrance was a huge iron gate. When he went up and knocked, a man came out to ask what he wanted. Li Jing told him that he lost his way home and was looking for a place to sleep. The man said, "My master is not home, only my lady is here." Li Jing said, "Why don't you ask her?" So the man went in and then came back saying, "At first my lady didn't agree, but because it's getting dark and you're lost, she says that you can sleep here for one night." So Li Jing was invited into the main room. After a little while, a maid came out and said, "My lady is coming." Li Jing noticed that the lady was about 50 years old. She looked very proud and elegant, like a high-born lady from a noble family. Li Jing bowed. The lady bowed back and said, "My husband and 2 sons are not home, so you should not stay here. But it's getting dark, and you are lost. If I don't love you to stay here, where can you go? But my sons will come back at midnight. They will call out loudly when they return. Please do not be afraid." Then Li Jing was given a good meal. Afterwards, the lady went away. When the 2 maids brought in bedding for him, he could see it was very luxurious and smelled fragrantly. Then the 2 maids left. Li Jing thought, "This is a mountainous area, but there will be a loud sound during the night. What is it all about?" The more he thought about it, the more awake he became. Finally, he just sat on the bed and listened for any sound outside. When it was close to midnight, he heard someone urgently knocking on the door. Then he heard someone say, "Heavenly order, you must make it rain for around 700 square miles until daybreak. Do not be delayed and do not make it pour." Li Jing heard the lady say, "My 2 sons are not back yet, and this cannot be delayed. If we do not do this in time, we will be punished. What can we do?" One of the maids said, "I noticed that our guest is not an ordinary person. Why don't you ask him?" The lady was very happy and quickly knocked on the door of Li Jing's room. She called out, "Are you awake? Could you please come out?" Li Jing said yes and came out. The lady told him, "Humans do not live here. This is the Dragon Palace. My elder son went to the Eastern Sea to attend a wedding, and my second son went to see his sister. But we just received a heavenly order. We have to make it rain according to the orders we've received. Both my sons are too far away to return on time. Could you help?" Li Jing said, "I'm a human. I cannot fly in the clouds. How can I make it rain? But if you show me how to do it, I will do as you ask." The lady said, "If you follow my instruction, it will definitely work." So the lady asked someone to bring the leading horse, and then he told someone else to bring the instrument, which made rainfall. The instrument was just a small bottle, which was tied to the saddle. The lady said, "When you get on the horse, do not try to control it. Instead, let it run where it will. You may hear naming sound from the earth. Take a small bottle and drop 1 drop of water onto the horseman. Just 1 drop, not 1 drop more." Li Jing got on the horse and flew up to the sky. Soon he was flying above the clouds. The winds were strong, and thunder roared and cracked below him. He did not do as the lady instructed. Instead, he started dropping water every time the horse jumped. Then, during the bright lightning flash, the clouds suddenly cleared, and he saw the small mountain village where he lived. He thought, I've lived in this village for so long. There was a severe drought, and all the crops are dying. Now I have rain in my hands. Why don't I help them to give them more rain? So he dropped 20 drops and quickly emptied the small bottle. When he came back, the lady was weeping. She said, How could you make such a big mistake? I told you just give 1 drop. Why did you give 20? Don't you know that 1 drop of water makes 1 feet of rainfall? Your 20 drops were equivalent to 20 feet of water. That village is underwater, and everyone was killed. I have been punished. When she said this, Li Jing saw the lady's back was covered in bloody wounds. Her sons will also be punished. Li Jing felt very bad and became frightened. He did not know what to do. The lady said, You are just a human. You do not know how to give a rainfall, so it's not your fault. But when the dragon army comes to look for you, you will be in trouble. You need to leave right now. I can only give you 2 boys to help take you back. You may take them. Li Jing took one of the boys and left the dragon palace immediately. When Li Jing walked out of the gate, he turned around to look back. He was shocked to see the building was gone. Even the boy had disappeared. He tried to find a way home himself. He stumbled around until daybreak. Finally, he arrived at the place where his village had stood. The entire village was in the water. Only the tops of trees were visible, making the place where the village once stood. This story tells us that the dragon palace is not in this dimension. However, each dimension has its own principles to manage everything in that dimension. In other words, in another dimension, using human thinking to act can only bring disaster to human world. This also reminds me of cultivators. The purpose of a true cultivator is to leave the human world, enter high-level dimension, and become immortal. In other words, if people in the world want to enter high dimension, one must cultivate all kinds of human thoughts and get rid of demonic nature, because the thoughts of celestial beings are different from those of human beings. This is why Cultivator's master only teaches Dharma to his disciples, because everyday people cannot understand high-level Dharma principles. Thank you very much for listening to the story. More touching stories will be ready for you if you just subscribe it. Thank you again.